Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be a gun store customer 101 video. I am going to be giving you 10 tips today and maybe a little wild card extra bonus tip in regards to being a customer at a gun shop. As usual, before we get this video started, I have no sponsors to the channel right now. So if you want to help me out, all you got to do is comment down below. Yes, this helps the algorithm, but honestly, it just gives me a lot of motivation. I say this in every video. And also, secondly to that, I have a B channel. It's called FF Lifestyle. Not at all gun related, so it's not going to be for everybody. But if you want to switch up your subscription feed, I got action sports over there, from mountain biking, longboarding, snowboarding, skateboarding, electric longboarding, hiking videos, travel vlogs, just everything. There's got to be something over there that you might be interested in. Click that link up in the right-hand corner of your screen now and help me get to 1,000 subs. We're getting very, very close these days. I have been working in the firearms industry primarily in gun shops for over a decade. So this is going to be my tips and tricks coming from somebody that works at a shop. Hopefully, a lot of you guys will find this helpful. Number one is about consignments. If you go into a shop, there's going to be two different types of used firearms. And even if that firearm is basically unshot or never fired new in box, if it has once left a shop and is now back in a shop, it is going to be used no matter what. But you have used, meaning the shop owns that firearm, and then you have consignment. Consignment guns typically have little to no wiggle room. What this means is the shop is selling the gun on behalf of the individual who still technically has ownership of that gun. There are very rare occasions where the customer will say, hey, if somebody offers from here to here, I'll accept that offer on your judgment, but very rarely that is the case. So just understand that. If you want to make an offer, you still can, but that shop is going to usually have to call the seller. They may or may not answer, so it's probably not going to be a purchase that you make that day. Number two, on the contrary to that, used guns. This is going to be the area of the shop where you're going to be able to do the most wheeling and dealing. If you see new firearms in a store, you're almost certainly not going to be getting a better price than what's on the tag. If you don't already know, the lowest profit margin items on anything in that store is new firearms. Almost blanket across the board, a gun shop is going to be at 18 to 20% of profit margin on new firearms. And when you factor in all of the other things out there, that's actually a very low profit margin percentage. Used firearms, on the other side of things, range dramatically. And especially if something's been sitting for a long period of time, the shop is very likely to be running some pretty crazy deals with you if you have cash to offer. Number three, if you are trying to sell in a gun to a shop, or I guess if you are not and you were just kind of curious of this, buy-in prices for shops almost always range between 55, if it's a really crappy shop, to 70%, if it's an awesome shop, of the price that they are going to retail that firearm for. So if you bring in a gun and the shop is very transparent with you, they are going to bring it in the back. They're going to look at what they're currently selling for online, or if they have the blue book of gun values, if they go off of that. And then also just general intuition of, hey, I know about what this can sell for. And if they say this is probably going to be on the floor at $4.99, we're going to give you 60% of that, or we're going to give you 55% of that. And that's what you walk away with. That is almost always how it goes. Now, a really shitty shop is going to say, hey, we're going to put it out on the floor at $2.99. You get, 60% of that. And then you walk in the following day and it's on the floor for $7.99 or whatever else. And that unfortunately does happen, but almost always you're looking anywhere from 55 to 70%. Now, as a buyer, this is a great tip for you when it comes to wheeling and dealing. If you see a gun there, there's a really good chance their cost is roughly the opposite of that. So if they gave somebody 60% of what that's worth, well, you know about what they have into it. Number 4, in 2025, you are just flat out not going to beat the ammo prices that are online. You're just not going to do it. So if you're going into a shop assuming that you're going to see the same prices that you see on AmmoSeek, you're just going to be sorely mistaken. I believe personally that during the 2020 craziness, distribution bought way too deep in overpriced ammunition, and shops, dealers are still paying dearly for that. Distributors are feeding lies to shop owners that don't know any better and are selling ammunition at much inflated prices, and then the customer can go online and see that very same box retailed at less of a cost than the shop owner paid for that ammunition. So as a customer in a gun shop, for a tip, I hate saying this, but you are absolutely going to find a better deal online. But where you got to watch out for is shipping. You might see an awesome price on ammunition and then you add it to the cart, aren't really paying attention, and shipping is like $75. That has happened more times than not. So be on the lookout for that. And I've seen a lot of awesome shops now buying in used ammunition as it's clearly labeled that it's used for liability's sake, and they're reselling it at a great value. So you can find a few deals on ammunition in stores there as well. Number 5, it is 100% a buyer's market. This is about the worst time ever to be selling a firearm. That's just without a doubt absolutely the case as of right now. Now, everything in the firearms industry can dramatically change overnight. But if you are saying, hey, I'm about to cash in, this is my time where I need to be selling stuff, it is not the time to do so. So just kind of remember that. And if you're a buyer, again, we're going to reverse this. It's the best time to be finding great deals on guns these days. Number 6, the gun shop in almost every case is not going to have a holster for the gun you just bought. That's just the unfortunate reality. There are many gun shops now that still actually do make custom holsters. So there is an option there. You can always ask the shop, hey, do you guys make holsters? Can you make one for this? But the reality of it is there are just too many options, and shops cannot stand stocking holsters. And the reason why they can't stand it is they will have an entire wall full of holsters, and without a doubt, they will get a customer coming in the following day and, oh, they don't have the holster for their specific handgun or light combination. This is where it kind of helps out to buy one of what I would consider the most popular and standard pistols of today, which is just a Glock 19 or a Glock 17. If there are holsters, there's probably a holster for that pistol, but you're not going to find things like specific appendix rigs like sidecars and other very specific types of holsters. Just almost always you're going to have to go online to find those items. You're almost always going to see something for a Surefire X300 or a TLR1 or a TLR7. Those are going to be kind of the top 3 where you are almost always going to see a holster combination commonly out there online. If you go away from those or you add lasers, you're going to have a really hard time. Number 7, I'm throwing in kind of 7 and 7.5. We're talking transfer fees. When we are talking about transfer fees, you have to understand a few different things. In all 50 states, the background check itself is going to cost the shop $3. And if you're transferring a firearm into a shop, which simply means that you bought it somewhere else and are getting it transferred into the shop, you are almost always going to be paying a fee usually between $50 and $70. Now, a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh my God, that's so much money. They're only getting charged $3. Yes, in almost all cases, that is correct. I'll give that to you. But you have to understand that not every customer is going to be a smooth and easy process in regards to time. I have seen so many times, more than I can count since I've been in the industry, that an employee will be tied up with somebody on a transfer for an hour plus, and that might be helping them out with additional things. Maybe they have a hard time filling out the paperwork, or a variety of other situational things that might pop up. Well, now you are taking time away from customers that might be walking into the store that just need to be helped. You will get shops that absolutely account for that time. And I would say at this point, pretty much an industry standard price, whether you like it or not, is between 50 and 70 bucks for a firearm transfer. That number can change sometimes dramatically if you just inherited a collection or something like that, and now you're looking at like 25 handguns to transfer, or 25 long guns to transfer, or both. Again, that number can change depending on the time that is involved for the employee to transfer those firearms. 7.5, we're going to talk about NFA transfers. This is probably the most time-consuming process for a shop employee to do, and that is regardless if it's silencer shop or if it is just direct to the ATF on the ATF's website on their e-form system. There are some customers that have done this 100 times over, maybe not 100, but a lot, and it's a very smooth, quick, and easy process. And a lot of the time, shops might cut them a little bit of a deal when it comes to the NFA transfer fee. Every shop that I've been in, the standard transfer fee has been between $100 to $130, and that is just, unfortunately, every shop that I've been into, it's been about that. You might have a few great shops out there that don't charge anywhere near that, but the reality of it when it comes to NFA transfers is I have seen some, I'm not even kidding you guys, when it comes to a large 4 or 5 person trust, take upwards of 2.5 hours to just struggle through the paperwork. When you purchase a suppressor directly from the shop and the shop is maintaining the profit from that suppressor, they're not going to charge you that transfer fee. Number 8, never feel intimidated in a gun shop to ask questions. There is no stupid question in a gun shop, and I can promise you that will almost always be, if it's a good gun shop with good employees, the employee's favorite customer to deal with is somebody that asks genuine questions and are just trying to learn a little bit more about the firearms industry. The only customers that gun shop employees are like, oh my God, are the ones that think they know and kind of come in like, oh, let me tell you something. And those are the customers that every gun shop employee is like, oh, here we go. But anybody just asking questions is never going to be looked down on at a gun shop, ever. Unless you're going to some big box chain store where the people behind the counter are not the best. A good gun shop is always willing to answer questions. The only thing I'm going to urge all of you to avoid asking questions about is anything politically related or anything like current events related. Don't ask about the recent shooting. Don't ask about your thoughts on politics. Even if a gun shop employee would love to talk to you about that, all you're doing is probably getting them a sit-down talking to in the back on how they can't be talking that stuff on the gun line. And you have to understand, although someone might assume that everyone in a gun shop is of a certain political thinking, a lot of the times they are not. And this can cause just a huge spin-off down rabbit holes. And the only thing we're not talking about is the gun that you would like to purchase or answer any questions. And where this can hurt not only the gun shop, but customers coming in. A customer coming in might just have a question, man, I'm just trying to buy this, I'm just trying to pick it up, and now I gotta wait for you guys to have political philosophy talks for the next 45 minutes before I can just find this thing or purchase this item. So please reserve those questions and don't be asking those in a gun shop. Number 9, this one probably a lot of people don't realize. I have seen more times than not one individual use their card to purchase a firearm online, and it's actually not for them, it's for somebody else. This happens a lot. Hey, I want to get my buddy a birthday present, so I wanted to surprise him and get him this. Hey, I wanted to get my cousin a birthday present. I ordered it for him online. As per the ATF, the transfer paperwork is going to come in from where you purchased that firearm from. And whoever's name is on that transfer paperwork is legally who the gun is going to have to be disposed to. Every shop might take a different interpretation of that, but every shop that I've ever worked at, whatever name is on that transfer paperwork legally is where that gun has to go to because of the ATF saying possible straw purchase issues there. So it's very important that you need to call where you purchase that firearm from and say, hey, this is not for me at all. This is a gift for such and such, and that is who it needs to be going to. This is not my gun. I have nothing to do with this gun. I'm buying this for a different purpose. And they need to record that on the transfer paperwork. So just make sure that is clearly stated. Number 10 is about receivers. This is something that I have never seen so commonly misunderstood when it comes to shops, but a stripped receiver of a firearm. This could be an AR-15 receiver. This could be a Glock frame or receiver. This could be a 10/22 receiver. Any stripped receiver or action must leave the shop if it does not have a barrel attached to it as a multi-caliber receiver. Multi-caliber receiver. There are so many shops out there that want to ask you what you plan to build it into. Are you going to build it as a pistol or a rifle? And they mark down pistol or they mark down rifle. Legally, this is 100% not accurate. It leaves the shop as what it is currently right then and there. So where this affects the customer is if you are under the age of 21, unfortunately, as ridiculous as it is, you are not going to be able to purchase a stripped lower receiver at a gun shop. This also affects out-of-state residents. You cannot purchase a stripped lower receiver if you are an out-of-state resident in the state that you're trying to purchase from. Finally, bonus number 11, if you are traveling as an out-of-state resident, the gun shop that you're visiting in the visiting state that you're in essentially becomes exactly the same as a gun shop from your hometown, and that means legally. So if I am a New York resident and I go down to the good old state of Pennsylvania and I'm assuming I'm going to be able to buy anything I would like, I am sorely mistaken. Any gun shop that I go to in the state of Pennsylvania is going to mirror the laws and restrictions that are in a gun shop in the state of New York. So unfortunately, again, as ridiculous as it is, you're not going to be able to just hop the border down to another state and purchase an unrestricted firearm in the ways of New York. I wish there was a way around that, but there is just simply not. Unfortunately, laws are changing so rapidly these days that a gun shop does not want to be caught in the wrong in that whole debacle, so they will just ship it down to a state that you're coming from, and you'll have to pick it up down there. Regardless of the state, good or bad in regards to laws, handguns will not transfer over the counter, and as well as NFA items. They cannot legally, on federal law, transfer across state lines over the counter of a gun shop. They have to be mailed to a gun shop in the home state that you reside in. Hopefully, you guys found this very long video helpful in some way, shape, or form. And if you want to see more of these tips videos, let me know. I'm full of random tips and tricks when it comes to gun shops. I've been doing this for a long time. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay tuned for more great content coming soon.